Hi everyone, this is Kimberly from Kimberly's Fabric Stash, and this is our Fabric Bundle Friday special featuring Jane Austen. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'd like to say welcome and thank you for joining me. My name is Kimberly Chafee and I own Kimberly's Fabric Stash, which is an online quilt fabric store featuring notions, patterns, and all things quilting. Each week I do a special on Friday afternoons at 3 p.m. And this week we are talking about Jane Austen. You'll notice that I dressed for the occasion. I am a docent at our local Colonial History Museum, and therefore I had the outfit ready to go for today's event. So I would like to also say thank you for joining me. And if you are unfamiliar with our website, you can always click the shop button and it will take you over to kimberlychafee.com, where you will see our products that we have. And if you're interested in joining our weekly newsletter, you can scroll down to the bottom of our website and join our weekly newsletter, where we send out product information, tips, techniques, and a good recipe. So today I'm going to start with a Jane Austen quote to get us started, and then we'll go ahead and talk about everything Jane Austen. I happened to get a lovely book today from my good friend Nancy, and it was so timely. She gifted me this cute little book that says, "What Would Jane Do?" And I'm going to go ahead and read from that. So, "There is nothing I would not do for those who are really my friends. I have no notion of loving people by halves. It is not my nature." So I thought that would be an appropriate quote because you all are my friends that join me each week. And I'm so thankful that you are happy to take time off on your Friday afternoon to sit by, drink a cup of coffee or tea, and hear what I have to say. So we'll go ahead and get started. Now, I do a giveaway each Friday, and basically the way my giveaway works is that if you share or comment, share, and like my video, then at the end we pull a couple of great prizes to give, and it's just one way that it helps our business, and then I get to show appreciation for you actually listening to me talk for 30 minutes. So we will have giveaways again this week as well, and you know, it's just sort of our thank you for joining us. So now, who is Jane Austen? Well, for those of you that maybe have had literature in high school or something along that lines, she was a prolific writer from the early 1800s. And she was a British writer. And when she started writing, she was in her late 20s. And she wrote 6 novels before she died. And unfortunately, she died at the age of 41. But during that time, she was also a prolific, besides writer, and not known for that because she wrote under a pen name. She also quilted and did embroidery. So I'm going to take a short break and say thanks for joining us today. Lorraine, thank you for the compliment. Cecilia, hello. Sherry, thank you. Jeannie, thank you again. Joyce, thank you for the compliment on the costume. It is 100% linen, and in the summertime it can be a little bit warm. I'll talk a little bit here about my scarf. My kerchief is hand blocked. It is silk, and I really think it's one of my best additions to my costume. So when we dress up for our museum, we try and do absolutely everything that you would have seen in the late 1700s. And Suzanne, thank you for joining me, and Sherry as well. Boy, we have lots of people joining. So hi Pam, thank you for joining me again. And every time that we do this, I want to bring you something a little different, a little more knowledge, because I think so much of our quilting is tied to the past. So Jane made a quilt, and the quilt hangs actually today in the museum named after her in England. And the quilt behind me that you're seeing is a 60-degree diamond quilt. And my friend Nancy Danceson, I have to give a big shout out to her today. It's her birthday. She loaned this to me today so that I could share with you what a 60-degree diamond quilt looks like. Now, Nancy actually did hers, completely cut them out and blocked it. And it's absolutely a beautiful representation. And this year, Riley Blake Fabrics printed a fabric line called Jane Austen at Home. And one of the things they did was they made this portion of their quilt pattern a panel. And then the border, which is different from the border here, and I'm going to talk about the border in just a second. So the border is also a panel as well, okay? Now, the kits were supposed to be here. Unfortunately, the vendor didn't get them sent in time for my event. But knowing that you guys are so awesome and faithful, know that once I post these up, you'll be able to get them. And we will definitely do a free shipping as a compensation. So if you're interested in ordering the kit, it's a complete quilt top, including the borders, let me know, text me, message me. The kits are going to be $150. They come with a collective commemorative box. And I will be putting a link up to that at the end of the video as well. So basically, you won't have to sit and make these diamonds like Nancy did. Now, the difference between Nancy's quilt and the Riley Blake quilt kit is that I mentioned that the borders were also printed as a panel. And the reason this was done, when Jane originally did her quilt, she actually did diamond, 6-degree diamond border as well. And they were little tiny diamonds. There's 2,000 diamonds in the original quilt, just in the border. And knowing that we probably don't have that kind of time, Riley Blake took a lot of that work out of it for us and printed that off as a panel, which is like, thank you, Riley Blake. But at the same time, you will still get the exact feel and copy of the museum or the quilt that hangs in the museum. You'll also notice that thank you, Becky, for that. It is the Jane Austen House Museum. Thank you for clarifying the name of the museum for those that want to pop over there afterwards and look at the quilt itself. The other difference is Nancy's does not have the center medallion, and the panel that Riley Blake printed has the center medallion. Medallions were a very popular type of part of what they used to call counterpanes, and not quite a quilt. They didn't use the word quilting back then. And the medallion was always a representation of something. So a lot of times you'd have like the family coat of arms, or they were trying to tell like a story about the family. So Nancy's does not have the center medallion, which does not negate this beautiful quilt. But the point is the Jane Austen quilt does have the center medallion. So Riley Blake released all these wonderful fabrics as well. And we are short a bolt because we had a couple bolts come in, and then this week we had some purchases off those bolts. But we also have a fat quarter bundle that we have up for today, and we also have layer cakes or 10-inch squares. So I'm going to flip through the fat quarter bundle so you can see the beautiful fabrics. Riley Blake did an amazing job printing this fabric line, and I think that it's very important that we share that. And while I flip through the bundle, I'll tell you a little bit more about Jane. So she was, do you want to turn that light back so they can see this fabric? I have my wonderful assistant with me today. My daughter Leah's with me. So, okay. We figured out we had to do a light. That's perfect. Thank you. So Jane Austen never married. She had a suitor that asked her to marry, and he asked her one evening and she agreed. Then she went home and started thinking about it and decided, I don't want to marry him. So the next day she got up and went and told him that she was not interested in marrying him. And she remained a single woman until she died, but she was very independent and did not want anybody to think that she was not capable of taking care of herself. So for that time period, it was quite unusual not to be married. Most women were expected to marry, and their embroidery work that they did was part of the way that they showed a potential suitor that they were worth marrying. So embroidery was done as a means of showing off the skill, and the more that you learned with the number of stitches you knew was an indication of your abilities to be a good wife. So it's kind of unusual how they connected your potential of being a wife with your ability to embroider. So Jane, however, was not interested in being a wife, and she, however, was always trying to improve her embroidery stitches. Now, one of the things that I'm working on for my local museum, this is a piece of linen that I've been working with crewel and embroidery, and this is going to be a pocket for my outfit. So these are types of designs that you would see back in the 1800s. This one is not finished yet. Well, not 1800s, late 1700s. And there's a new book that has come out called Jane Austen Embroidery. And some of these patterns are from this book. And this writer here went through and she researched the magazine of the time period called the Ladies' Journal. And it was in publication from 1775 to about 1819. And during that 50-year period, the Ladies' Journal was reading material for women. And in that, they talked about fashion and they would give embroidery patterns because women were expected to kind of stay busy when their housework was done. Not everybody had servants. So a woman would get through her daily chores and then she would embroider things such as valances, her husband's cravat, her own neckerchief, her petticoats, pillowcases, and pockets, of course. And then they would make ridicules, which were their version of a purse. So embroidery was very popular. And in England, the number of stitches a woman was expected to know numbered in the 20s to 30s. There were that many embroidery stitches, where in America, most of the time, because of the lack of resources, the ability to get like silk thread or different type of wool threads, most of them would only have about 6 to 8 different stitches going into their work. So it was a much different kind of setup here in America. Well, in this book that this lady wrote, she mentions all the different types of stitches. There's about 10 to 12 in her book. But then she also goes through the projects that would have been found from the Ladies' Home Journal, and she modernized them. And that way we're not sitting there trying to read like 1700s English and like, what are they talking about with the directions? So this is a really well-written book, and I'm going to show you a couple of the things that are inside here. So an apron, let me flip back here. So this is an apron, and women typically wore aprons during the day. My outfit here does not have an apron. I am at the museum typically working admissions, so I don't have that type of uniform or dress. This is more of an upscale dress that you would see in Western Pennsylvania during that time. So, oh, the name, let's see. Hi, Becky. The name of my local museum is the Depreciation Lands Museum. It is located in Hampton Township, Pennsylvania, which is like just a little bit south of Gibsonia. So if you're interested in that, I will put up a link to our local museum. And it is a late 1700s actual representation of a little town that was out here in Western Pennsylvania. So let me show you a couple more. Thank you for asking that, by the way. I knew I should have mentioned that and I did not. So here are some of the floral pictures here. This would be adorning the edges of a napkin. So you can see here that there's an actual picture of how the different stitches were and the different colorways. Thread was not the same type of thread that we have today. It was made a little bit differently. We have modern, of course, threads. Here's another wonderful illustration of embroidery that you would have seen back during the late 1700s, early 1800s. Now, Jane Austen, when she came into her adult years, about 1800, she would have been dressed a little differently than I am right now. The period of style at that time was called Regency, and the waistlines went up to here, and they didn't have so many layers. They wore a lot less layers. Like right now, I have on 3 different layers, and I'm quite warm. And yes, a little bit warm right now, but basically they would have on a shift, which would be like a nightgown type of material, and then they would have their stays, and I am in full stays right now. I cannot bend over at the waist. I have to kind of squat to get anything. And then at this point, then we would have my jacket, my stomacher, and then of course my petticoats, which you can hardly see, but there's petticoats here. On a hot day or a cold day, I'm sorry, there would be 2 layers of petticoats. And basically wearing 1 layer of petticoat was seen as a little scandalous at the time. So yeah, go imagine. But anyway, so by then, by the 1800s, a lot of this left, and we went to a Regency period, and a little higher waistline, and still very beautiful costuming. And if you're interested in costuming of that period, the Museum of the Met up in New York City has an online dresses that you can scroll through and type in different time period and look at dresses. It's very interesting. So just a little bit about that. Now, okay, your library, I'm reading what Becky says. Our library, can't wait to see it. Is there a Jane Austen quilt book or just one quilt that she made? So there's not a Jane Austen quilt book, but there's basically this quilt and then a lot of her embroidery pieces. So the other thing I want to mention, since we're celebrating Jane Austen, is this book by Anne Hazelwood. Now, some of you commented this week when I announced the event that you are fans of Anne Hazelwood. She is a mystery writer that her genre is quilting. So she did this book based on a fictional club where they had a Jane Austen quilt they were making. And this is going to be one of our giveaway prizes today. So we're really excited about that. But this is a great book by Anne. So if you're a fan of Anne Hazelwood, you want to check out her Jane Austen Quilt Club book. There are a lot of people that try to go back to that colonial time period, and they're curious about prints and how the fabrics were made. And it was a very involving process, and it took a lot of time to bring fabrics over from England, and a lot of the quilts that were made were done from the scraps of their dresses or their men's waistcoats. So fabric was not something you could just go down to the local fabric store and just purchase off the bolt readily. And there are letters Jane wrote to her older sister Cassandra asking her to send her more fabric scraps for her quilt. So it's something that she was conscious of at the time, that, you know, she was dependent upon getting these scraps. And Jane Austen was considered a middle-class woman for her time period. And even at a middle-class status, that is not, she was not wealthy. Again, she didn't write under her own name. Most people did not realize that the books that were being written were written by her until much later. And by time the books actually found popularity, she had been dead for about 50 years. So it took a very long time for her books to kind of get that cultural sense. And the books were reflective of the 1800 time period. They talked about things where women's place in society, because back then we had a place in society, and a lot of it was where you were born into or who you married that determined whether you were going to be middle class, lower class, or wealthy. So her books, if you're not familiar with them, they have been made, some of them have been made into movies. So if you want to skip the written version, you can go over to the movie version and check those out. So how did she support herself? Just her writing? Yes. Well, her family, it seems as though, like, there were, from what I'm reading, is she had a lot of connection with her parents, and there was a sense of her brother and her older sister tended to kind of look out for each other. So it appears that her main source of the income was kind of living with the family, but at the same time she was writing. So, and thank you for asking that, Pam. And I'd like to take another second here and say hello to more people that have joined us. Hi to Judy. Thank you for the comment about the outfit. Carol, I agree with you. I think the quilt is amazing. Nancy did an amazing job on this. Cecilia, thank you for the compliment. And then for those of you that are kind of joining us late for our Jane Austen event, my name is Kimberly Chafee, and I am the owner of Kimberly's Fabric Stash, and Riley Blake Vendor, our fabric lines, released a new collection of Jane Austen fabrics this year that are absolutely stunning. So I wanted to make sure that I shared with you this new line of fabrics so that you can get some and enjoy making yourself a quilt from the fabric line. If you have shared today's video, please comment that you've shared it, because we're going to be pulling our winners of our giveaways from those shares. So if you would just take a quick second and hit the share or a comment that you shared, that would really help out Leah when she's reading through all these comments right now. So basically, this is the fabric line. Again, it's really well done. These are quilt shop quality materials, a very high thread count. And so if you decide to make yourself an heirloom type of quilt, these would be good materials to make that from as well. So I think that you'll be very pleased if you wanted to get one of the bundles or even the layer cakes, because it's just a beautiful line of fabric. What else can I say about, oh, I need to announce the winner for last week's giveaway. So last week, we're going to sidestep Jane Austen for just a second here. So last week I shared the Quilter's Project Planner, and this is an amazing booklet, spiral bound, to help you keep track of planning your quilts for the year, the materials that you've bought, just what your favorite shops are. Of course, your first shop should be mine listed, correct, right? And basically, this is a great way of keeping track of what you're doing, and it helps you set your goals for the year. I'm a goal setter. I find that if I set the goal, I actually reach it. So if you are needing one of these to help you kind of stay on track, this is a great book to pick up. But the great thing is Rochelle Fritz, congratulations, Rochelle. She shared last week's video, commented and liked, and won this. So Rochelle, I will get with you at the end and make sure that I get an address so I can send this up to you, because I think you'll really enjoy using this for the rest of this year and going into next year. All right, so now during the week I also announced that I wanted to give away several prizes, and one of the ways to do that was to get you guys to share this event, because sharing is caring, and then I like to reciprocate and give you something back. So Cindy Jo Harmon shared our event this week, and Cindy Jo, you're going to be getting a copy of Anne's book, The Jane Austen Quilt Club. So congratulations to Cindy Jo. And I think you'll really like that. And Cindy Jo, if you're not familiar with Anne Hazelwood, this is a great opportunity to get to know a wonderful writer of quilt mysteries, if you're hopefully into that kind of thing. So, all right. So Leah's going to let me know if there are any questions. And while she's looking at the questions that you may have, because we always open up a period of time for questions and answers, I want to also let you know that these videos do get uploaded to YouTube. You can find me on YouTube under Kimberly's Fabric Stash. And for those of you that might have friends that would be interested in seeing this video, but they're not on Facebook, that's a place that they can go to see our weekly updates. So we are on YouTube as well. And again, we appreciate all the shares and the comments. And your comments really help me figure out what you want, help me figure out what you are looking for information. And of course, we always do product reviews as well. But this week, we're definitely focusing on Jane Austen. So, all right. Oh, Sandra just joined us from Virginia. Thank you for joining us from Virginia. Me too, layer cake. Oh, Erica. Hi, Erica. Haven't seen you for a while. Thank you for joining me today. All right. Are you guys telling me you want layer cakes? Is that what you're asking for right now, Pam? Is you want me to set one aside for you? Can you give me a thumbs up on that? Because I think you guys are ordering right now. Let me explain how this works to those that are just joining us and don't usually join us. When I share a product for you, for example, the lovely fat quarter bundle from Jane Austen, if you're interested in getting one, if you comment sold fat quarter bundle, I will go back and invoice you through PayPal, or I will call you on the phone. It's your preference. So if you're interested in a fat quarter bundle, they are $70 free shipping. Okay. And then of course we have the layer cakes. Now I only have 4 of these, but if you're interested in one of the layer cakes, definitely hit comment sold layer cake. And again, these are $30 plus $6 shipping. So it'd be $36, just like letting you know that's how that works. They're beautiful layer cakes, by the way. This is the first one. Okay, so congratulations to Erica Schottheim. Leah's just let me know that Erica shared today's video. Erica, you have won a $25 gift card to our shop, and I will give you information on how you can redeem that going forward. And I really appreciate you sharing today's video. I'm sorry. I will private message. Yeah. I was told to let you know, Erica, that I will private message you. Thank you, Leah.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is our next winner.
Really? Okay. Jeannie Dickey, congratulations. You have won our $50 gift card to today's Jane Austen event, and you are able to purchase anything in our store with those gift cards. They are not limited to just Jane Austen. I don't want to have you thinking you must buy a Jane Austen product. Sorry, I cannot speak. So I appreciate that. So look at this. We have wonderful winners. We've learned a little bit about Jane Austen, and I'm looking to see if you guys have any questions. There are Jane Austen groups across the country and abroad. You can Google them. Becky, thank you for sharing that. So what Becky just said, for those that you may not have read her comment, there are Jane Austen groups. This is a very popular time period that people really enjoy. They like the peacefulness of that time period. Granted, if you got sick, it was a whole different story. But thank you for sharing that. So those of you that are looking for maybe a local group in your area, Leah, we should start one. Wouldn't that be a whole lot of fun, doing like a Jane Austen group?
Yeah, just historical people.
Yeah, we could just, okay, we'll talk about that. Are we able to visit your shop? Yes, Andrea, here's how we're doing the shop going forward. So I have been resetting the shop to allow customers to come in, which is going to make several of you very happy in the area. Because of our laws right now, no, it's not a law, because of our lovely governor, we're going to do by appointment only. And that way I don't have like large groups coming in. So if you are interested in joining or showing up, coming over, I would like you to text me or call me. My information is on the page, and that way we can set up a time. I know, like, I have a couple ladies coming in on Tuesday, so and I still kind of have other things like Friday afternoons we just can't do because I'm here. So, but if you are interested in coming to my shop, I would ask that you would definitely set up a time with me first. Okay, the layer cake price is $36 out the door with free shipping. Okay, to purchase yardage, do we go to the store site? Okay. Becky, that's a wonderful question. So this week I was unable to put it on my website, but however, I did manage to put it on my Etsy page. Now, I usually don't link over to my Etsy page because I kind of leave that to Etsy. But what you will want to do is, at the end, I can link it up. I will link it up.
For the Jane Austen.
But for the Jane Austen today, I want you to go over to Etsy and go to Kimberly's Fabric Stash, and you will see the Jane Austen fat quarter bundles, the yardages that I have, and I have other yardages coming from our vendor, and then you'll be able to purchase more yardage. But yes, that's a great question. Do you have Saturday times? I can do Saturday times. Yes, I can. Again, you just want to set up an appointment with me. That way I know you're coming and I don't have like 30 people in the shop, because the shop is not huge, but however, we're kind of still under rules here. So bad intersection. Intermittent, we'll have to watch the video. Okay, Sandra, yeah, these videos, for those of you that are still joining me for the first time, every week you can go, these live record, so you can go back and share them or watch them again. If you click on the videos link on the Facebook page, you can see all my previous videos. So if you've missed a week, don't feel bad, don't be upset, because you can just go over to the videos, click on that, and you'll be able to see like last week's video. Like last week we did a whole bunch of product reviews. So that is definitely something that you can do. Okay, so Leah's letting me know to let you know that if you have ideas for another video, please share them with me. I'm always looking to do really cool like event things. I love like getting into the whole theme of things and sharing history and knowledge. So if you do have an idea, message me, because I think that'd be great. Oh, and if you want to email me, my email address is pitsewing@gmail.com. Okay, so Andrea's going to do that. Do you have a pattern bundle for the quilt behind you? So I believe that I can get in touch with Nancy, find out what pattern she used. Yes. As far as the fabrics you see here, these are from Nancy's private collection, so we would not have that in a bundle. However, you could use the Jane Austen fat quarter bundle and do the pattern using these fat quarters. Okay, you can do the 60-degree diamonds, but I will definitely, Joanne, I will definitely get with you about that, and I will ask Nancy for the reference to what pattern she used. Okay, well, we had a lot of great questions today. This is fantastic. All right, does anybody else have a question that they would like to ask? Like a layer, Erica, yes, you can definitely stop by and pick up a layer cake as well. We'll set that aside for you. Wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you had a good time. I certainly had a good time. I got to dress up, and I will go ahead and link up all those things that you guys asked about during the video, the museum link and the link over to the museum for Jane Austen in England as well. And I appreciate the helpful comments for those of you that are knowledgeable about Jane Austen in your areas. So, oh yes, and Nancy, happy birthday again. And Nancy, if you would comment, maybe if you know the name of that pattern off the top of your head, that way everybody can see the pattern that you used for this. If you happen to comment that, would be great. How about old-fashioned Italian quilts and traditions around those quilts? Well, Andrea, I think that's a great idea. We'll definitely have to research that. I love researching, and I think that would be a fun thing to do. So I will look into that. Anyway, oh, Cecilia, thank you. And yes, and Leah, thank you for helping me. I do appreciate it.
Hi, everybody.
All right, ladies. So I'm going to let you get back to your Friday afternoons. I hope you had a wonderful time. I hope you had a great week. Everybody's hopefully staying healthy. And we will see you again here next Friday for our regular Fabric Bundle Friday. And congratulations to those that shared and won today. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care and stay healthy. Bye-bye.